While perusing around the internet, I was looking to come to understand intimacy better so that I can help explain it to you more efficiently. And I tripped across a great big old landmine, and it's going to be a whole series of things that are coming out. But anyhow, we're going to start off with what in the world is emotional intimacy? And we're going to be talking about that this week on episode 242 of The Relaxed Male. This is The Relaxed Male, a show that comes to you each week helping men to remove the nice guy from their life so they can actually live their life on their terms. Join the host, certified coach Brian Goodwin, as he helps men step out of their heads and become free from the thoughts that bind them. Hey man, hello and welcome to The Relaxed Male. I'm your host Brian, and I am a certified men's coach who assists men who are just neck deep in the suffering of their life. These are the men who are struggling with their relationships, trying to find a way to help their bride be happy, yet for some reason, while they're doing that, they're making themselves more miserable in the process. What are us men to do? How do you change your approach to your marriage? Why is this sacred institute so full of strife and tension? Join me and discover how you can actually relax and have the marriage that you want. This is a marriage that is full of love, peace, and so much more. So let's dive into this, man, because this is a interesting topic that I've tripped across. And when I say tripped across it, I tripped across it. I was like going, what? Because depending on which site you jump to, there is anywhere from 5 to 10 different types of intimacy. You thought, well, I'm just trying to figure out how to be more intimate with my wife. I know. And then all of a sudden, all the know-it-alls that like to run around and try to make sure everything's a lot more complicated than it really has to be, come along with 10 different types of intimacy. There's the physical intimacy, which is the hubba type of intimacy. That's the sexual, the physical touching of our spouse, and our spouse physically touching us. Those the physical intimacy, which is a lot of what most guys think of when they hear about intimacy. But there's also what we're going to be talking about, emotional intimacy. And this is a little bit deeper level. Then there's intellectual intimacy, spiritual intimacy, experiential intimacy, which what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be going through all these. So we've got at least 10 weeks worth of topics that we're going to be talking about here. So besides for experiential, we also have social intimacy, creative intimacy, conflict intimacy. Boy, if that doesn't sound like an oxymoron, if there ever was one, but yep. Aesthetic intimacy and work intimacy. So this is, wow, just blew my hair back on this. It's been such an opening, not according, and the 10 that I'm talking about, that comes from a website called Choose Therapy. So we know what their direction is. They're about trying to get you into some type of therapist environment. So, and therapists and psychiatrists and these folks do like to make things a lot more complicated than it actually has to be. I mean, come on, they've taken masculinity, they've taken men being men and made that a mental health problem by calling it a toxic masculinity. Well, no, we've had those discussions many, many times, and I'm sure we're going to have those discussions a little bit more while the third wave of wackos who don't know what to do tries to subside. So what I'm going to be doing, I'll just go ahead and dump the beans right now. And that is, for the next 10 weeks, I am going to do one topic of the different types of intimacy. And I actually had an episode planned for next week that's going to get shoved away way down there. And that is taking your wife off the pedestal allows you to actually love her more. This is probably going to get converted over into a blog post instead of a podcast. And then after the 10 weeks is up of me doing 10 of these different types of intimacy deals, then we'll jump back over and I may go ahead and do another version of the pedestal and how taking your wife off of it will allow you to have a better relationship. So yeah, yeah. So this is kind of crazy. And so right now I'm still kind of figuring out what emotional intimacy is. But from what I've seen and what I've come talked to people about, or not talked to people, but talked to or looked and read and researched online, this is all according to the internet type of stuff. In a nutshell, emotional intimacy is how you and your spouse are able to emote with each other, how you're able to communicate and talk with each other. Choose Therapy says that it is the ability to express your feelings, whether positive or negative, and for this vulnerable expression to be received with validation and understanding. Now, if you know anything about me and what the philosophy I run under, the problem that I'm having with this is one single word, the validation. You are not a parking ticket. Okay. I cannot take you to a shoe store and go, can you validate this for me? I can't get you to validate it. All right. I can't validate your emotions. I can't experience your emotions. I can't feel what it is you're feeling. And the same thing goes in the opposite. You can try to understand, which is one reason why I kind of like the fact that they received both validation and understanding, because you can come to some sort of an understanding of what your spouse is going through. You can go through a bit of an understanding. You can come to understand what your wife is feeling, why she is feeling that. You can have those discussions. You can have those topics. And as long as you're okay with her having the emotions that she's having, you can get to that understanding. And that's the problem that a lot of folks have, is that one, they don't want to get that deep into understanding because their wife being upset causes them anxiety. Oh my, she's not happy with me. I'm not going to get sex ever again. She's going to get mad. She's going to leave me. We're done. Our brain wants to spiral out of control. And that's never the case. So there's a few parts of that definition that I agree, but that validation part just makes me cringe because that is the exact opposite of what I'm trying to teach you guys. You cannot be validated emotionally. I just need to be emotionally validated. You can need to validate my feelings. No, man, I can't. Your wife can't. The only person that can make sure that and validate, am I really feeling sorrow right now, is you. What are you feeling right now? Are you feeling happy, sad, horny, mischievous? What? You tell me what you're feeling, because I can't validate it. So you have to express to me what it is. If you're stomping around kind of moping and stuff, are you angry or are you sad and you just stomp around when you're upset and you're sad? I don't know. But a lot of people do have their own actions and own means of interacting with each other. And these emotions that we are emoting shine through. And the way we express our emotions becomes the circumstances that we're operating ourselves in. This becomes the element that we base our model on. My wife has given me scowls and hadn't talked to me in 45 minutes. She's mad at me, but she won't tell me why. Okay. Then one, you assume she's mad at you. You may have a good idea that she's mad. You don't know for a fact if she's mad at you, but you got an idea of whether or not she is mad at you or not. And you won't actually know until she tells you. And then by then she's going to tell you what it is she's feeling. And it may not even use the word mad. She has just got her feelings hurt because of something you said. Or at least for my wife, that's normally what the problem is she says, I say something and, it goes astray. Because our problem is that we struggle with what the person says. Our circumstances are often taken so personally. And I'm going to tell you an embarrassing event that happened a couple of years ago. And me and the wife were having a little bit of alone time together. And she was working with me, and she did something that for me, it was just the fact that she just sighed, which is odd. It's not odd. I've heard her sigh before, but while we were being intimate, physically intimate, she just, as she was doing her thing, she went, and I turned that into meaning that she was disgusted with me, that she didn't want to do this. I bought into my own personal story that this is not something she wants to do. And because that's what I did, I lost my erection. I lost it all. It just went, and she was like, what happened? And I had to come up with a story. I wasn't being physically intimate with her at that, or mentally, emotionally, somewhere. I didn't have the level of intimacy with her because I didn't actually tell her, oh, you sighed and I got stuck in my head. And that's something that if you're going to be emotionally intimate with your wife, that's something you should be able to say. And that's the big problem that keeps us right on the level of superficial and just right under superficial. We've gotten just a little deeper superficial, but not back down to the depth of the heavy romantic couple that we once were. So we are now circling each other, trying to play catch up, if you want, without actually being as open as we can be. And this is why being emotionally intimate, or at least from what I understand, being emotionally intimate is so tough, because we take everything that happens to us so damn personally. My wife sighing at an inopportune time took a while for me to get out of my head and back into the present, which probably caused her to get to get into her head, wondering if she did something wrong. And it's not that she did anything wrong. She just sighed. I'm the one that was in the wrong because I'm the one that made it mean something was off. And we do this all the time. Our wives will make some comment and we want to make it personal. She says it in a tone and we want to make that tone personal. She walks across the room in some way, and we want to make that personal. Oh, it's something about me. No, it's about her walking across the room, man. It has nothing to do with you. She's crying. Has nothing to do with you. You did not piss her off. She watched a damn commercial that was sad and it caused her to go boo-hoo. Be okay with her emotions. That's the biggest part, especially for us recovering nice guys. Being okay with our spouse having emotions to begin with, and then allowing those emotions to be. If we can do that, we are miles ahead, and we can allow so much more to happen in our relationship. We can grow and get deeper into our discussions simply because we have decided, hey, you know what? Our wife can have whatever thoughts she wants to have, and it does not affect me. She can feel whatever she wants to feel. It doesn't affect me. Those emotions are her emotions. I can be sad, and she doesn't have to validate that I'm being sad. I don't have to go seek her out to validate I'm feeling sad. I know I'm sad, all right? I know I'm frustrated because I didn't get the garbage out in time. I know I feel ashamed because my wife just told me for the 4th time this week that I need to take the trash out. And I didn't. And I failed at it. And the trash man's already come. So I've got to hold on to the trash for another whole other week. That's all on me. That's nothing that she's done. She just tried to remind me. And I wanted to make it as her nagging, as her thinking that I wasn't being adequate in my responsibilities. So if you want to have more intimacy, if you want to have more emotional intimacy, then the key is to stop taking things so darn personally. So how do you tell if you have emotional intimacy? Maybe you've achieved it and you just never even realized you were there. If you can feel like you can tell yourself, or you can feel like you can be yourself, be yourself around your partner without feeling judged or misunderstood. Well, you're going to get misunderstood from time to time, but because we have different thoughts. But again, I love the feeling judged part because, we love being judged, whether we like to admit it or not. If I was to go up to my wife and say, I think you are the most incredible mom ever around, my wife would be okay with that. If I went up to her and I gave her the judgment of, you are just the worst mom around, she wouldn't like that. We like good judgment. We don't like the bad judgment. The positive judgments laid upon us, we'll take them all day long. But the moment you throw a negative judgment upon me, well, how dare you judge me? You don't know me. You can't judge me. Well, funny, you were just accepting all the judgments of how good of a dad you were. You were taking all your son's accolades just a moment ago. Those are judgments without feeling wrongly judged is the way some people should actually phrase that, because you love being judged. You want to have all the good judgments heaped upon you without the ramifications of getting the negative judgment, which is just, that's a little rant I love going on. Anytime I hear somebody go, well, you can't judge me. Well, it's like, if I told you were a good person, you'd be all right with it. So why can't I throw the bad stuff at you? So another way you can tell if you have emotional intimacy is you feel safe and secure sharing your deepest thoughts and feelings with your partner. Can you share with your wife how frustrated or how lonely? There's a better one, because it opens up a little bit of vulnerability that you have to share. How lonely you feel because you and her haven't had sex in 3 weeks. How unsure of yourself you feel. Can you have that sexual discussion? Talking about sex with your wife is anxiety inducing. And that's, according to a lot of this, it is because we struggle with emotional intimacy. You have a strong desire to please and support your partner and feel strong connection with their well-being. Now, see, this one right here, I would disagree. Do not people please. Have a strong desire to please and support your partner. No, you would like to make your partner proud, maybe, and you want to be able to support your partner, but to please them, that's venturing down people pleasing, and that's rather dangerous because you can't control another person's emotions. That's what pleasing a person is. Can I make them happy? No, you can't. Your actions might cause them to smile, but you're not going to control them. But we do want to have a strong feeling of connection with our spouse. You frequently find yourself daydreaming about being with your partner or sharing special moments with them. When you're first married, after about year 15, you're probably not going to have as much daydreaming. Because when I hear daydreaming, I'm thinking we're off in fantasy land and we're finding different and creative ways to do the horizontal mambo with our wife. That doesn't happen quite as much. You don't find yourself just going, if I really think about it though, you still do, because I still want to walk the Camino de Santiago with my wife one day. Now, she doesn't think she's going to, and there's a chance you won't, but that's something that my daydreaming consists of, where me and her are able to take 6 weeks to 2 months to walk the full length of Spain to Camino de Santiago de Compostela, and have a fully stamped out Camino passport and all that. I think that would be a great couples challenge that I would love to go and do with my wife. So yeah, I guess you do still have daydream emotions and things like that go through. You feel safe sharing your private issues and concerns with the other person. To a point, yeah, I would say you can feel safe sharing them, but you also are okay with them having whatever emotion they want to have. Because some of the things you want to feel safe sharing with them might upset them. Can you share with them and they get upset and you be okay with the fact that they're upset? You're not going to try to fix the problem. You don't feel alone. You feel supported, like someone has your back. That one's important. That one I get, and that one I agree 100% on. Can you feel connected to your spouse? Do you feel connected to your spouse? Do they support you? And what your definition of support, understand, is completely different than what theirs is. But at the same time, do you feel supported? Like someone has your back. You know your wife has your back. Okay, then you're on your way. To know that your lover and or friend will listen to you without judgment, at least most of the time. Okay, yeah, that's an important one, because emotional intimacy is based on discussions, are based on questions, based on the questions that you ask. And if you'd like to have more questions, you can always go to relaxmail.com, and there's a button for 800 questions. Hit that button and put in your email address, and you can get a deal of 800 questions that you can ask your spouse. And these are some decent questions. I mean, I don't know if I haven't rated them or had anybody rate them from, like 1 to 10, but I think there's a good mix of really good ones and pretty good ones in there. So you can definitely find out of 800, you can definitely find a few that you can have deep, meaningful conversations with. So can you have deep conversations with your spouse? Yes, that would be an emotional intimacy note. If something is bothering you about the way your partner or friend is treating you, you are usually able to talk about it. And seeing that usually, or at least most of the time, bothers me, because that gives somebody a way out. No, well, sometimes I'm able to. Well, there's sometime maybe there is their definition of usual. So are you able to tell your partner what's bothering you? Yes or no? You always have someone to share both your ups and your downs with. That's where you and your band of brothers comes into play. But for your wife, men, you really want to just share your ups with them and let your downs be shared with your band of brothers. This is, again, you want to have a band of brothers. That strong community pillar is crucial for us men. You deeply care about them and know they feel the same about you. Well, you won't know for sure, but you have a dang good impression that they do. You can easily shift from light conversations to deeper conversations. That's always good. Are you able to feel empathy for your partner and or friend? Well, there's nothing wrong with feeling empathy. That is you having an emotion about what they're saying, that you're empathizing with what they're saying. It doesn't mean that you feel they're an empath. I don't buy the empath thing. Oh, I could feel what they're feeling. No, dude, you can't feel what they're feeling. And sadly, a lot of women think that. They think, oh, I'm an empath, and they will advertise themselves as an empath. And no, you're not. You have emotions that are your emotions. They're not the person you're talking to. You just happen to have a very wide range of emotional definitions that you can share with them. And a lot of times people go, yeah, that's me. I feel that. Okay, good. I'm glad you feel that. You're able to be present without being distracted by other people. That one's a tough one. And if you can do that, yeah, dude, you've got a lot of emotional intimacy going. When your partner or friend is suffering, your heart opens up and you feel deep compassion for them. You feel compassion for when your lover, your wife, is suffering. If you have any of those, then great, awesome, thumbs up, give yourself a high five. If you have a few of them, well, that's probably about normal. And so you have some place to work. You have some place that you can improve with. And a lot of it is just, can we trust our spouse with what we say? And can we trust ourselves with how our spouse is going to respond? If we can do that, then the rest of it's piece of cake. We can tell our wife that we're leaving the company without having a backup plan yet. And you will be okay with the fact that she's going to wig out for about 3-4 days until you find another job. You're okay with that. So guys, with that, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to let you go. This is kind of for the next 10 weeks, we're going to be throwing around these overviews of what emotional intimacy, intellectual, spiritual, experiential, social, creative, conflict, aesthetic, and work. And eventually we're going to get to physical intimacy because, hell, we all like sex, right? So we're going to really look into this. We're going to get to understand the different types of intimacy. And I would love for you down at the bottom, either send me a boost. If you're on a Podcasting 2.0 compliant app, you can send me a boost with your comment, or you can actually send a comment down and below by going to the show notes for episode 242, and let me know what you think. Which of these different types of intimacy types do you think that I believe are valid, and which ones do you actually think I'm just complete and total bull? I'd love to hear y'all's thoughts on here and give me a reason why. I'd love to hear from you. So guys, with that, I'm going to go ahead and let you go. Thank you so much for listening. We will talk to y'all next week. Till then,